Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now August 27th of 2020, and ever since the very end of the Skywalker saga, a lot of fans around the world have been very excited about the future of the Star Wars franchise by Disney, Lucasfilm, Bob Iger, Bob Chapek, and even George, John, and Dave that are all working together as a team to deliver as much authentic Star Wars material as possible. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, the thing about Disney Star Wars is that yes, we do know that they are trying their absolute best to really bring things up to the same exact level of success as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which, as I've said multiple times in the past, that is going to take a lot of time and effort and a high success rate between movies and TV shows in a row to really get it to that level, right? To get it to such a plateau of success where they can really mark themselves down as good, if not better, than the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, thankfully, we do have Kevin Feige from Marvel helping out with Star Wars and the overall structure of the new trilogy of movies and the spin-off films and how that roadmap is going to be organized with George Lucas by his side. A very exciting time to be a Star Wars fan regardless, because Kathleen Kennedy currently has little to no involvement on a creative scale for the new projects, except for the Leslie Headland Star Wars TV series. Now, speaking about George Lucas, what's really intriguing all has to do with a specific Star Wars TV series that is currently in the works, and a specific co-writer of the Star Wars franchise that was recently let go from, of course, the overall new expanded universe that Disney, Lucasfilm, Bob Iger, and Chapek are working very hard on as we speak. So, with that being said, with both Disney and Lucasfilm now finished with The Rise of Skywalker, they are now focused on their new Star Wars trilogy of movies, as well as their new Star Wars universe. Now, it's explained that currently both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek are developing multiple plans to reunite the Star Wars fans around the world in order to create a better and brighter future for the Star Wars universe. Now, it's explained that behind the scenes, many changes are being made to the new Star Wars universe, with Lucasfilm hiring new creators such as writers and directors for their new Star Wars TV series and movies. It's explained, however, that recently creator George Lucas fired a co-writer of the Leslie Headland Star Wars TV series for Disney Plus recently, some weeks ago, and is now on the hunt for a new co-writer to take the unnamed co-writer's place for the show. It's noted, however, that one major reason as to why this co-writer was fired from the TV series is that she was completely changing certain aspects of Star Wars history that went too far, that was going to change core characters within the Clone Wars animated TV series and even characters within the prequel trilogy movies. Now, this co-writer was going to establish major retcons to the Star Wars universe that was already established by George Lucas, however in a negative way that fans would have had major issues with in the long run. So once again, this is yet another good move by George Lucas because he essentially prevented yet another backlash. You know, we've seen the big backlash of what happened with The Last Jedi because of what Rian Johnson did to the lore of Star Wars and what he did to the character of Luke. Here, this unnamed co-writer that was working alongside Leslie Headland was going to make such drastic changes to this new universe that was going to have a negative impact on the characters within the Clone Wars. This could have very well been Ahsoka, Darth Maul, Anakin, Obi-Wan Kenobi for all we know. That was really going to change our view, or our perception, if you will, of the Clone Wars TV series in that specific era of the franchise, right? And it was also going to have a negative impact on the prequel trilogy of movies, so that wouldn't have been good, and I believe that would have been The Last Jedi Backlash 2.0 easily. Now, this plan by the co-writer was to essentially create original content by developing said retcons to undo certain creative choices made by George Lucas with the Clone Wars, and by Dave Filoni as well. Now, the series was also set to restart aspects of the already planned new Star Wars universe that the co-writer had knowledge of and wanted to undo some of the plans already made by George Lucas, Jon Favreau, and even Dave Filoni. Now, this is actually something that Disney CEO Bob Chapek was 100% against and was not pleased with, and gave George Lucas the go-ahead to fire this co-writer and let her go from the show. It's noted, however, that she was going to be one of the writers from the animated TV series that Kathleen Kennedy was working on, before Kennedy was also fired from working on that project not so long ago. So we talked about this earlier, is that Kathleen Kennedy was let go from the animated TV show, and this unnamed co-writer was also a part of this. And that Kennedy gave this writer a chance to become a part of the Leslie Headland Star Wars TV series for Disney+. It's explained, however, that Lucas is not allowing this co-writer to be involved with any other Star Wars projects moving forward, as he sees it as a danger to the success of the new Star Wars universe. George, John, and Dave are actively working on ways to reunite the fans and to bring things back to the way things were before 2012, and before Disney took over Lucasfilm. Bob Chapek is already working closely with Lucas on the new roadmap of Star Wars films, TV shows, and even books plus more, to complete the roadmap of the new universe that will be far larger than the old one from the 1990s and the 2000s. Fans are very curious to see what George has to offer with the new shows and films to arrive in the near future. So, once again, here we are in a very transformative scenario, alright? And what I mean by that is, we have George Lucas really making big changes behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm to really fulfill Star Wars the way it should be, right? Now, the thing about this TV show, in case you guys did not know, the Leslie Headland Star Wars TV series initially had two writers. They had Leslie Headland, of course, being the main writer, and they had an unnamed co-writer on board, helping out with the majority of 3 episodes in the middle of the 10-episode TV series, almost half of the entire season 1 of this show. Now, that is a lot of episodes. I mean, to have a co-writer on board that was going to drastically change the Clone Wars and even the prequel trilogy movies, and how these major retcons were being done by this co-writer, and how she was really set out to do that. You can only imagine the backlash. I mean, you really could. You can only imagine the backlash. I would actually imagine it to be far worse than the backlash by, of course, from the fans for The Last Jedi. With The Last Jedi, it was all because, the momentum from The Force Awakens and Rogue One, it was a mixture of that, because a lot of fans were very excited. It was also because we never really got to see Luke in The Force Awakens, so a lot of fans were waiting on that and were very upset. A lot of that had to play with the overall backlash of Rian Johnson's Episode 8. And it wasn't just that, it was, of course, the creative decisions he made. So, similar scenario here, where you have this unnamed co-writer calling the shots and really making drastic changes to the overall lore of this new universe that's going to be far larger than the old one in the 90s and 2000s. Now, the thing about this is that Kathleen Kennedy initially had this co-writer as a big main writer in the animated TV series that Kathleen Kennedy was also working on before she was let go by George Lucas and Disney CEO Bob Chapek. So you can see how Kathleen Kennedy kept trying to save specific writers or directors, if you will, to be transferred to other projects before she lost the majority of her creative control and before things really went out of hand here, right? So this, like I've said before in the past, is a light at the end of the tunnel. It just shows us, the Star Wars fans, that things are really shaping up. A lot of good things are coming our way because we got George Lucas, Jon Favreau, and Dave Filoni really working on this new expanded universe that's really, by the way, going to be far superior in different ways than what Kathleen Kennedy was, planning to do with other creators. I mean, I'm very excited to see what it's going to look like once it's all done and finished on the big screen for movies and at home for Disney+. It's going to be quite a ride to see how it compares to the old expanded universe. So, with that being said, guys, like I've said before in the past, I think that we can really trust George, John, and Dave and what they're doing with this new universe and what they have planned for the new shows, the new movies, books, novels, comics, and even the video games at that. So with that being said, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
forget